Today, we're in Parshat Terumah. We're going to learn something a little bit unusual. We don't usually learn this kind of topic. Many times, the Rebbe, when he used to give talks, sometimes there's 5 opinions. So the Rebbe will say one opinion, another opinion, and will give a third opinion. But he will not be adamant against a different opinion. Over here, we're going to see that the Rebbe doesn't like another opinion. And we have to understand why. What's so important if you're going to learn like the other opinion that the Rebbe didn't like it? And we're going to find out that it's something very interesting. When it comes to Jewish education, the Rebbe was adamant that even subliminal messages kids shouldn't get. Even just, like advertising or whatever you want. There's a problem with subliminal messages. That's what we're going to learn today. So let's start. Source number 1 talks about the 2 sets of tablets. It says, "Venatata el Aaron," God says to Moshe, you should put into the ark et ha'edut asher eten alecha, this testimony which I'll give to you. And Rashi explained, what's his testimony? Ha'edut, ha'torah. Rashi says you should put into the ark, so the ark of the covenant had the Torah. Shi le'edut beini u'veinechem, that it is a testimony between God and the Jewish nation. Shetziviti etchem mitzvot haktuvot bo. What's the testimony? Everything that's written in it. Commandments to the Jewish people. That's the testimony. And the Talmud, source number 2 says, Tani Rav Yosef learns, Melamed, it teaches you, Shaluchot, that both the tablets, Veshivrei Luchot munachim ba'aron. Besides the Torah, there was something else in the ark. There were the second tablets, and there were also the broken tablets, the first tablets. All of them were put in the ark. There's actually a debate if the Sefer Torah was in the ark or outside of the ark on the shelf, but we're going to learn it was in the ark, like the opinion of Rabbi Meir that it was in the ark, and you see soon why. Okay, source number 3, ויהי ככלות משה לכתוב את דברי התורה הזאת, when Moshe finished writing the entire Torah, על ספר עד תומם, he wrote them on a book until the end. Some of you may ask, how did he write it till the end? He died before the end. Look over there, Rashi explains it over there, not our discussion over here. ויצב משה את הלוויים נושאי ארון הברית השם לאמור, and Moshe instructed the Levites, those who carry the ark, he instructed them as follows. לקוח את ספר התורה הזה, it says, take this Torah scroll, ושמתם אותו מצד ארון ברית השם אלוקיכם, והיה שם בך לעד. Take this Torah and place it alongside the Ark of the Covenant. It will be there as a witness, the Torah scroll. Like I said, the 2 opinions. So Rashi explained, mitzad Aron Brit Hashem, mitzad haluchot. Why did it say mitzad? Because Rashi before says it was in. So Rashi explains, when it says mitzad, it doesn't mean mitzad the ark, on the side of the ark. Rashi explains that when it says mitzad, it means mitzad al-luchos, on the side of the tablets. Inside, on the side of the tablets. Mitzad Aron Brit Hashem, mitzad al-luchot. Rashi explains, I already told you it was inside. So it says on the side, it doesn't mean really on the side. It was munach betoch Aaron. It was placed in the ark. There's one more over there. Source number 4 explains to us what's going on over here. So it says, Kol HaTorah katva Moshe Rabbeinu kodem sheyamut. Moshe wrote the entire Torah before he passed away. Bichtav yado, he was the scribe. You ask, who was the scribe? Moshe was the scribe. Venatan sefer lechol shevet v'shefer. How many books did he write? 12. וספר אחד נתנו בארון לעדות. In one book, he put it into the ark. So with 13 books altogether. One book was in the ark, and the other 12, each tribe got one. שנאמר, because it says, לקוח את ספר התורה הזה, it says, take the ספר תורה, ושמתם אותו מצד ארון הברית השם, and put it on the side of the ark of the covenant, והיה שם בחלד, and there it will be a testimony. And now we're going to get to the thing that is going to be hard to understand, why the Rebbe was so adamant. If you go all over the world, Jewish institutions, non-Jewish institutions, when you see pictures of the ark, it usually comes rounded on top. Sorry, pictures of the tablets. The tablets usually come rounded on top, right? You see it everywhere. Like behind me, there's a tablet right there, and and they're rounded. Here, that's what. So we're going to talk about. We should actually change it. Thank you for pointing it out. But look at the source where we know the shape of the tablets. So where is the source? Source number 5. Actually, before we talk to the shape of the tablets, let's talk about the ark itself. How was the ark made? ועשו ארון עצי שיטים, say you should make an ark of acacia wood, 2.5 אורכו ו1.5 רוחבו, 2.5 cubits in length, 1.5 cubit in width, ו1.5 קומתו, and 1.5 height. וציפית אותו זהב טהור, מבית ומחוץ תצפנו, ועשית עליו זר זהב סביב. So this is what it was. Think about it like this. You took a wooden box from acacia wood, and you put on the outside gold, a gold box on the outside, and a gold box on the inside. So you have an acacia wood, you will put
to make 3 boxes.
3 boxes. The biggest one was gold, the biggest one was gold, the second one was wood, and the third one was gold again. Okay? That's the way it was. 3 boxes. And then God says, "V'no'alti lecha sham," and I will talk to you from that, on top of that ark. "V'dibarti itcha me'al hakaporet miben shnei hakruvim." I will talk to you from on top of the covering between the 2 kruvim. Asher al aron ha'edut, they're going to be put on top of it. Et kol hashover otzevot bnei Israel. From there, I'm going to give you instructions. And now let's look at source number 6, still about the ark. ארון שעשה משה, the ark that Moshe did, 2.5 אורכו, was 2.5 cubits length, 1.5 רוחבו, 1.5 width, ו1.5 קומתו, 1.5 height, באמה בת 6 טפחים. Each ama was 6 handbreadth. Okay? And then it says, this is the source from the Talmud. That's the shape of the ark. What about the tablets that was inside? והלוחות, and the tablets. The Gemara gives us specific instruction of what the tablets were. Arkan Shisha, the length of each one, there were 2 tablets. The length was 6. Rachban Shisha, it was a square of each tablet. The width was 6. Ve'ovyan Shlosha, and the thickness was 3. And they were, where were they? Munachot keneged orko shel Aron. And they put it inside the ark to its lengthwise. You put it flat, like this.
But it wouldn't fit.
What do you mean? Why not? Why wouldn't it fit?
Lengthwise. This is 6 tfachim and 2.5 tfachim, no?
A handbreadth and tfachim. Handbreadth and amma, 2 different things.
Oh,
Tfachim, yeah. Okay, 2 different things. But we're going to get the measurement soon.
Okay.
We'll see the problems. And then the Gemara continues to say something. It says, and it uses a funny language, a language that we don't usually find. This is on page number 4 at the top. כמה לוחות אוכלות בארון? It says how much the luchot would eat within the ark, which pretty much means how much space did they take? How much space, but it's a funny way to say it. How much space they would eat inside the ark. So it says, 12 tfachim, 6 and 6 is 12. Yeah? 6 and 6 is 12. Nishtayru shama, so we know it's ama v'chetzi, it's 15 tfachim, the ark. The ark itself was 15 tfachim. 15 tfachim on the outside, by the way. 15 tfachim on the outside measurement. Nishtayru sham 3 tfachim. So since the tablets took how much? 12, and you have 15, so 3 left, right? צא מהם טפח חציו לכותל זה וחציו לכותל זה, but take the measurement of the wood and the gold itself, the boxes, the 3 boxes on this side, and the 3 boxes on this side would be exactly a tefach away, so you only had 2 tfachim left. נשתיירו שם 2 טפחים, over there there remain 2 טפחים, שבהם ספר תורה מונח. That's where the ספר תורה of Moshe stood. Exactly. So it was exactly the thing. So it continues to say in Masechet Baba Basra, פרנסת ארון לאורכו, צא ופרנס ארון לחוכבו. כמה לוחות אוכלות בארון. What about the width of it? So it says 6 טפחים נשתיירו שם, 3 טפחים, צא מהם טפח חציו לכותל זה וחציו לכותל זה, ישנו שם 2 טפחים. Why 2 טפחים? שלא יהיה ספר תורה נכנס ויוצא כשהוא דחוק, דברי רבי מאיר. So it says you were able to put the ספר תורה right in that space, and it wasn't tight inside, it had like a little bit of room to wiggle around. It was easy to take in, easy to take down. That was the length, the width to tfachim of the Sefer Torah. Okay. We are all the way on page number 6. And over here again, have in mind, why does the Rebbe care so much? What's going on over here? So the Rebbe says, over here, talks about a common mistake. ישנו עניין, the Rebbe says, there's a matter, שבו יהודים דתיים, that religious Jews, like right over here, we're going to see that. Thank you for pointing it out. Like right over here, religious Jews, not only in these shuls, in hundreds of shuls, not only in hundreds of shuls, in letterheads all over the world, in many places. שבו יהודים דתיים נכשלים, we make a mistake, and we make this mistake generation after generation. וזה כבר בדרגה של עבר בשנה. And he says, okay, I understand you make a mistake once, you make a mistake twice, but they go the mistake again and again and again and again. וזה מתרחש, and the Rebbe continues, and we're not talking about people conservative or reform, people who don't know what's going on. We're talking about people who know the Gemara inside out. They know all the levels in Gemara. They know all the Gemaras. Yeshivot have it this way. So it's about what's going on. Dafka b'mosdot Yudim, and it says it specifically in Jewish institutions, שלוחמים עבור תורה ללא פשרות, that they fight for the sake of the Torah, always, with no... That's it. That's the way it is supposed to be. That's the way it's supposed to be. ובפרט בעניינים שמדגישים את הייחודיות של עם ישראל. And they specifically in this yeshivot fight for things that have to do with Judaism. They fight for the cause. ובכדי להדגיש זאת, and in order to emphasize that they fight, this institution fight for the cause, הם מדפיסים על נייר המכתבים שלהם, they put on their letterheads and the symbols on their institutions, ציור של 2 לוחות. There's always a picture of 2 tablets. שמלמטה הלוחות הם מזווית ישרה, on the bottom it is straight, ומלמעלה הם כמו חצי עיגול, and on the top it's like half a circle. וזה, it says, and what's the problem? וזה, it says, I'll tell you what the problem says, the Rebbe says. הפוך מגמרא מפורשת מסכת בבא בתרא. It says, look, we just learned the Gemara. The Gemara tells you it was a square. It was 6 by 6. Why do we go against the Gemara? That's what the Rebbe is asking. And it's Jewish institutions. And all these Jewish institutions go against the Gemara. And not, by the way, if you think it's only in the Gemara, it's not only in the Gemara. It's many Midrashim. Many Midrashim have the same source. That what was the Luchos? 6 by 6 square. By the way, I'm not going to go into this in this class. Just have it in mind. The same problem we have in the menorah. The menorah of the temple was straight. Not like the symbol in Israel where it's rounded. Yeah? The menorah was a straight menorah, like the Rambam, that's right. That's why the Rambam actually drew it with his own handwritten. Yeah? He actually drew it to make the point that it's straight. It's not rounded. It's the same idea, Kabbalistic idea, when we talk in some other class. But just have in mind. But over here, it's a Ferosh Gemara. You can't make a mistake. הגמרא אומרת במסכת בבא בתרא, we learned the Gemara in Masechet Baba Batra, and the problem is going to see soon why the Rebbe is so worried. I told you, the Rebbe is worried, but look why he's worried. You know, there's many places where the Rebbe didn't agree with points, Hasidim didn't agree with points of the other movements. The Rebbe never made a point to talk about it. You don't agree, you say your opinion, we say this opinion, okay, we can debate sometimes, but there's no point, the Rebbe didn't fight. Over here, the Rebbe is fighting for it, for all of them to change. The question is why? Why is it bothering you? What do you care if somebody thinks it's round? How does it change Judaism? Why does it change Judaism? That's what we don't understand. Why is the Rebbe fighting over here? It doesn't change Judaism. Does it change it in any way? Maybe if you're a Kabbalist and you know the difference between round and straight, maybe it will change something. But you're not a Kabbalist. What do you care? It was rounded, it was straight. Who cares? But we're going to see the subliminal message that the Rebbe is worried about. What is it? The first thing that the Rebbe is worried about the religious people specifically. Not so much about non-religious people. Because non-religious people do not know this Gemara. He's worried about the people who do know the Gemara. That's what he's worried about. What is he worried? שהיא אחת משבעה מסכתות שלומדים בכל הישיבות. מסכת בבא בתרא, the מסכת that we just learned, is one of the Gemaras that they learn in yeshiva. There are seven masechtot that are learned in yeshiva. Masechet Baba Batra is one of the Masechet. Masechet Baba Batra, I think, is the longest one. It's 176 pages. This is on page 14. What we're reading right over here is on page 14. In other words, the child will get there. In the year, he will get. Maybe he's not going to get to page 128, yeah? But he's going to get to this page. It's page 14. Maybe not in the beginning of the year. By the end of the year, he will get there. And what is he going to read over there? שהלוחות ארכן שישה ורחבן שישה. He's going to read, hey, it's a בפירוש הגמרא. God says that the ark, the Gemara says that the luchos, the tablets, were 6 by 6. שמזה מובן בפשטות שהלוחות היו מרובעות עם זווית ישרה. From that we learned that it was a square, straight angles. יתרה מזו. And we can see that there's not even room to argue. The Gemara goes out of its way to tell you, do not make a mistake. In other words, you can learn maybe it was 6 to the top 6, yeah? With the end, you measuring it in the, it says no. That's why the Gemara uses the word ochlot. They eat all the space. Eating means they consume the entire space. That's why the Gemara uses such a language to tell you there was no space left. In other words, it couldn't have been around. The Gemara went out of its way to take out that possibility of the luchos ever being round. יתרה מזו, הגמרא משתמשת בלשון שהלוחות אוכלות בארון. שלכאורה מטבע הלשון אוכלות הוא מוזר. Why did he use the word אוכלות, eat? וכי הלוחות אוכלות את הארון? What does it mean? Eat the ark. Page 7. אלא הפירוש הוא, but the explanation is like we mentioned, שהלוחות שהיו 6 טפחים על 6 טפחים, that those tablets that were 6 by 6, מילאו את כל המקום בארון שבו הם הונחו. Took the entire space. They didn't leave any room. ולא נשאר שם שום חלל. There was nothing left. You used the entire space. לכן זה נקרא כאילו שהלוחות אוכלות את הארון. That's why it uses the funny verbiage, consume it. שמזה מובן שהלוחות יהיו מרובעים. In other words, the Gemara goes out of its way to tell you that there was exactly square. 90 degrees ending. They took the entire space. ונוסף על כל זה, and he says, and besides all of this, אין שום משמעות בשום מקום במדרשי חז"ל. If you're going to go and look at all the midrashim that there are, שהלוחות היו עגולות בראשם. You're never going to find anyone that says they were rounded. No one says they were rounded. כמו חצי עיגול. By the way, it's because we'll have to address, so why does all the world do it this way? We discussed it also. And let's look at source number 7. Source number 7, this is from Rabbeinu Bechaye. It's one of the Rishonim. And he also says the same thing. This was written many years ago. I'm not sure where Rabbeinu Bechaye lives. I think he lives around the 1100s, if I'm not mistaken. ודע כי הלוחות היו מרובעות 6 טפחים באורך ו6 טפחים ברוחב. And he says the same thing. You should know that the luchos was 6 by 6. וכן דרשו רז"ל, and this is what the sages says, בבבא בתרא פרק השותפין, הלוחות ארכם 6 ורוחבם 6, ואביים 3, it was 6 by 6 by 3. Again, nobody says it. Where did you get the round from? Okay. So now the Rebbe is going to bring, how did it all start? What's this roundness? Where did this roundness come from? And even if it is, what's the big deal? Why are you making such a big storm? So let's say they were not round, they are round. For that, you making such a big, study and go out of your way. We know that the Rebbe wrote many institutions, personal, to tell them to change it. Yeah? He asked them to change it to many institutions. Heichal Shlomo in Yerushalayim have square tablets. The Rebbe got the design. Somebody came with the design with round tablets to the Rebbe, and the Rebbe asked him to change it. He says, make square tablets. And he explained to him why. And he actually, Heichal Shlomo in Yerushalayim has the square tablets. If you go to Heichal Shlomo in Yerushalayim, you will see it. Because of that. But let's see, how did it happen that we started both in the menorah we're not going to discuss, but the luchos, why is it rounded? What's the idea? So like this. בפשטות says, in simplicity, הסיבה לכך שמוצאים בימינו גם אצל היהודים שציור הלוחות הוא באופן שלמעלה עם קרצי עיגול. So it says, that's why the Christian they do it. They have the reasons. It was a fight between, we're going to learn, when we learn the other Sicha, it was the fight between two systems, straight system and round system, what it means some other time, yeah? And the Goyim go by the round system, whatever that means. So the fact that the Goyim liked, it doesn't like, square doesn't look good. Round looks much better. So the Goyim decide for artistic, it looks much better, that's what they did it. כשהיו מוסרים ספר לדפוס, so you have to remember the history of the printed press. We are known to be the nation of the book, people of the book, right? Everybody knows that. When they started having the printing press, Jews were not allowed to own printing presses. Too much power, right? So all the printed press were done by whom? Were done by non-Jews. But after the non-Jews printed out the Gutenberg Bibles and all the things, everybody knows this, the printing press printed out all the great New Testament, let's call great, the great New Testament of theirs. After that, there was nothing else to print. Who's the one who consumed books all the time? It was Jews. Jews needed the Gemaras to be printed, needed all the books to be printed. All the Jews came to these printers to start printing. But you remember that the printer was a non-Jew, right? The Jews set out that, they would have, many of them actually, the owner was not Jewish. But the workers slowly became all Jews. Because why? It was a printing thing. In order to set up, to print out a Gemara, you needed somebody over there to make sure that everything, to proofread, everything. So somebody was there. But it started by non-Jews. So the Rebbe explained, הנה מצד הגלות, because we were in exile, ברוב המקרים נתנו זאת לאדם שאינו יהודי. In most cases it was given for a non-Jew to print. ומצד גזירת המלכות, and because of the decrees at the time, the church was not very sympathetic towards Judaism, as you know. There were pogroms left and right. היה צריך לעבור את הגהת הצנזורה. There was censorship that came both to the Gemorahs and to the regular things. Great censorship. שגם הם היו ברובם גויים, and the censors were mainly non-Jews. והם המדפיסים והצנזורה, so both the printers and the censorship, היו מציירים בדף השער או במקום פנוי אחר בחילת הספר, ציור הלוחות כפי שהם מכירים. They would paint the pictures the way it shows in their art. The way it was by, who's the great art of Moses? Rembrandt, that has Michelangelo. I think, by the way, that the Michelangelo's, I think it has square tablets. If you're going to look it up. Yeah, if I'm not mistaken, I think Rembrandt started, or whoever the next great guy by them started making it round. Yeah, I think if you look at the Michelangelo, I think they're actually square tablets by Michelangelo. Yeah, interestingly enough. Yeah, it's interesting to see. If you find out, let me know. But nevertheless, the popular one and the one that looks nicer is the rounded one. So since they were the printers and they started printing it, that's the way it was printed. שהוא חציל עיגול מלמעלה. Page 8. Yes. The Rebbe, you might be right, but the Rebbe doesn't like to say it this way because it wants to talk good about the Jews. It doesn't want to say that they started copying the non-Jews. So we're going to see his angle. You might be actually, some of the cases might be exactly like you said. Yeah, but we see that the Rebbe gives them the benefit of the doubt. They just got used to the idea. You know, one of those things. Yeah. So the Rebbe continues, וכשהספר היה מגיע לציבור היהודי, but when the book would reach the Jewish places, לא דייקו במה שנמצא בדף השער או בדפי ההסכמות. They weren't so exact. Okay, so it has round, not round. What's the big deal? אלא למדו את פנים הספר. It says, what's important? You know, the Gemara inside. That's what's important. Not this, the exactly. It's not the pictures. We're talking about the book over here. We're not talking about the pictures. ולכן לא השקיעו תשומת לב לעובדה שהלוחות הן עגולות ולא מדויקות. This is why they didn't care if the tablets were round or they're not square. וכך זה נמשך מדור לדור, וזה נהיה דבר רגיל בספרים יהודים. And that's how it became slowly regular to see it in Jewish books. Otherwise it's a mistake. So therefore the Rebbe says, ולכן עשינו תעמולה, and therefore the Rebbe advocated behind the scenes, שישנו את הנייר המכתבים של מוסד פלוני, that all the letterheads, whichever the letters are held, ששם נתפס הציור של הלוחות שבחלקו העליון הוא כמו חצי כדור, that whenever you see the tablets, when they are anywhere with half a circle, או שלכל הפחות את נייר המכתבים החדש ידפיסו מכאן ולהבא. So he says, if it's too much, you just went to print and you've got 15,000 copies, okay, finish this one. But once you finish this one, reprint it with the new one. עם ציור הלוחות כפי דעת הגמרא. You need to do it according to the level of the Gemara. And we still have the question, what's so important? What's the big deal? So what? So what? Yeah, but accuracy is important in many things. We didn't see that every time that accuracy was important, the Rebbe went out of his way to correct the entire world. Over here, the Rebbe is going out of his way to correct the entire world. What's so important? So let's look now. In source number 8, we're going to start to understand how the Rebbe looked at education and how important it is subliminal thinking. בהזדמנות זו, in source number 8, the Rebbe says, אעורר את כבוד תורתו על מה שראיתי בכמה פרסומים של פועלי אגודת ישראל. He's writing a letter to somebody who's in some institutions. ציור הלוחות בצורת חצי עיגול למעלה. It says, over here in your letterheads you have it half a circle on top. שזהו מנהג אומות העולם. It's not a Jewish tradition. It's a tradition of the non-Jew. הפך להבדיל דברי חכמינו ז"ל. It's exactly the opposite, our sages. שהיו כאן 6 ורחבם 6 ויש 3. Our sages say it has to be 6 ב-6 ו-3. So over here the Rebbe says, especially when it comes to printing magazines, especially with kids, the Rebbe used to send letters left and right. That whenever you have magazines of Jewish institutions to Jewish kids, he used to turn the walls, to call people over. It says you have to change it, and you have to change it, and you have to change it. And the Rebbe says in our publication, ופרסמנו בפרט לילדים, specifically to Jewish children, מדייקים אנו בזה כמצורף. The Rebbe sends him a picture of how it is supposed to be. As you can see the pictures down on page number 8 at the bottom. So the Rebbe says, והמדובר גם, we're talking about over here, אודות מסדות חינוך שמחנכים ילדי ישראל על תורת הקודש. Not just, we're not talking about people, non-religious institution. We're talking about very Hasidic religious institutions. הנה מבלי היבט על זה שתכלית כוונת המוסד היא להגן על ילדים מפני השפעה מבחוץ, even places that people are Hasidim, very extreme Hasidim, all they care about is that nothing from the outside would come in and hurt the child. When it comes to this, we see that it happens. לפעול עליהם שהנהגתם תהיה באופן שכל מעשיך יהיו לשם שמיים. They want to keep the children pure, everything be it for the sake of heaven, ובכל דרכיך דאהו, that all their ways will be in the ways of God, ועל אחת כמה וכמה בנוגע ללימוד התורה, and how much more so when it comes to learning Torah. אף על פי כן, this institution, כאשר הם מציירים את הלוחות, nevertheless, when they do paint the tablets, על גבי תפסים השייכים למוסד פנקסי, קבלות וכולו, whatever it is, the official school letterhead, הרי הם מציירים בו, זה באופן הפכים מדברי הגמרא. They picture it, they make the drawings opposite the ways of the Gemara. And like the Rebbe says, כאמור לעיל, שעל פי דברי הגמרא בהכרח לומר שצורת הלוחות הייתה באופן של ריבוע. Like the Rebbe tells them, the Gemara specifically says it was a square, and he didn't have a half circle from the top. And this is specifically in the Gemara. And the problem that is specifically in the Gemara, it is one of the Gemaras that are learned in yeshivas. Yes?
When I was a kid, I always thought it was weird that the commandments were written on something that looks like a tombstone. That's what I'm thinking.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, is it like saying it's dead or something?
Okay.
Just thought it was weird when I was a kid. I was like, that's weird.
Okay.
Yeah, anyway.
Okay. ישנו, and then the Rebbe says to them, ישנו רב מסוים בבאר שבע. It says, this is not only me. There was a specific Rebbe in Be'er Sheva at the time. לא חסיד Chabad. The Rebbe tells him, he's not crazy like me. He's not a Lubavitcher. He wasn't anything. With me, when I tell you something, the Rebbe says to the institution, you probably think, this is the Lubavitcher Rebbe. He's a Chassid. Chassidim are a bit cuckoo. He's too strict or whatever it is. He is not a Chassid Chabad. שפרסם לאחרונה ספר, and says, and he also lately published a book. ובו מבאר גם אודות צורת הלוחות, and he talks about the shape of the tablets. שעל פי דברי הגמרא, מסכת בבא בתרא, בהכרח לומר שהלוחות הם מרובעים, and even by him. He says, I don't understand where it comes to the Jewish nation that everybody starts painting it around. It says specifically everywhere in the Gemaras, everywhere in the Midrashim, it says there was square. ולא בצורת חצי עיגול, it was never half a circle. הוא מסיים שלפלא בעיניו, מדוע מציירים בכל מקום את הלוחות בצורת חצי עיגול, ולא כתבי דבר במסכת בבא בתרא. He says, I wonder, how does it happen that all these great institutions, everybody is drawing it wrong? Says, I don't understand where they got the sources from. And we're going to see in source number 9, this is the person. He says, חובתי להעיר, says, I must note, שדבר זה נטע זר בקרב ישראל. This is a foreign concept amongst the Jewish people. והנוצרים והאומנים הגדולים שלהם. It says, the Christian and the non-Jewish artists, הם שציירו את הלוחות עגולות. Only by them there were rounded tablets. ולא כדי להאריך בדבריהם, it says, I don't want to say it long, על כך הצורה בוודאי לא רק שלא רצוי, אלא יותר טוב לא לעשותם. It says, it's wrong to do it in such a manner. Again, the question is, why is it so wrong? Page number 10. So, the Rebbe, many people used to fight with the Rebbe about this. And they used to tell the Rebbe, but you know what? There were great people who instituted this institution, who based this institution, who began the institution, great rabbis, and that was their letterheads. And who are we to change something that they themselves approved? That's a great, that was most of the people. This is what they told the Rebbe. והתאונה הידועה, and the Rebbe tells them, I know what you're going to tell me. The Rebbe says, שלא רוצים להוציא לעז על הראשונים. You don't want to say that the first guy who started doing it, all this institution, did something wrong. מאחר שמוסד זה קיים כבר כמה וכמה שנים, since the institution is made by this great rabbi, and it's already been here for many years. וכך ציירו את הלוחות במשך כל הזמן, and this is the way the entire years, with all these great rabbis, with their approvals, it was drawn this way. So the Rebbe says, הנה טענה זו אין לה מקום כלל. It says, it's a good excuse, but the problem over here, you can't use it over here. Why? כאשר מדובר אודות עניין שנוגע לחינוך ילדי ישראל. Because you're talking about something that has to do with Jewish education. And when it comes to Jewish education with kids, you're not allowed to do it. It's dangerous. And that's why the Rebbe fought. It's dangerous when it comes to kids. What's the danger? And the Rebbe tells the danger of the subliminal thinking, of what happens to a kid. So, and the Rebbe explains over here is the whole thing. שהרי כאשר הילד מקבל תעודה, it says, think about it. The boy just finished yeshiva. A big yeshiva, an important yeshiva. מזמן לסן, he just got his report card, or the graduation card. And what's on the graduation card? You have the tablets on the graduation card. הוא בא מופיע, maybe he finished first grade. And what did he see on the first grade? He sees the tablets. הוא בא מופיע ציור הלוחות בצורת חצי עיגול מלמעלה. And he sees, subliminally in his mind, he knows what is the picture of the tablets. It's rounded. You know why? Because that's what he's seen his entire life. His entire life, he's seen rounded tablets. So what's the problem? מתקבל אצלו ללא כל ספק שכן הייתה צורת הלוחות. In his mind, he knows for sure this is the shape. That's it. If you ask him, he doesn't even know why he knows. But it's obvious. That's the shape. I've seen it. You've seen it a million times. ואחר כך, he says, this is the danger, the Rebbe says. The subliminal thing is the danger. אחר כך, כאשר ילמד את הגמרא, later on, he's going to become 14, 15 years old. He will learn the Gemara. And this is a Gemara that they do learn. If it's not a Gemara, notice what the Rebbe says. You know what? If it wasn't a Gemara that kids learn, I wouldn't mind it so much. But because it's a Gemara that we are guaranteed, it's one of the 7 Gemaras that they teach in yeshivas. In other words, the kid is going to come to this Gemara. And you know what he's going to think? He's going to learn the Gemara, that it was 6 by 6 and it was square. יווכח שמה שהונח אצלו בפשטות כתוצאה מהלימוד במוסד זה, he's going to subliminally put into his mind, all my education is false. That's what he's going to have in mind. They taught me something which is wrong. And if I can't trust them over here, where else can't I trust them? If they lied, if they told me wrong information over here, how can I trust any of the information they gave me? This is why the Rebbe is going crazy over here. If it's a guy who's 50 years old, he can understand, okay, the goyim, not the goyim. But over here, the kid is not going to ask question. It's a subliminal message that he gets, that whatever he was taught in school wasn't accurate. And it says we cannot take the chance with that. This is the problem. If the Gemara would discuss, maybe there's an opinion that it was rounded also, go ahead. Then you can argue. But over here, there's no opinions that it was rounded. Everybody knows that it was square. In the Yerushalmi, actually, there is some opinion that it was rounded, and then it comes to the conclusion that it wasn't. Yeah? If you go and search for it. The kid is going to say this is exactly the opposite of what I'm right learning now in the Gemara. וכתוצאה מזה, הרי הוא מאבד את כל האמון במלמד ומחנך שלו. He loses all trust in the institution and his teachers. He says, once the teacher taught him something wrong, what else did he teach me wrong? He says, this is a danger. This is why the Rebbe on other things didn't go crazy, and when it came to this, he did go crazy to try to influence everybody to have squares. גם כאשר ילמדו עמו דבר אמיתי מתחילתו ועד סופו. So also in things that they're going to teach him and they were completely 100% truth, he will have doubt. Maybe it's like the luchos that they taught me. They taught me from the beginning that they were circle. In other words, he doesn't completely trust his rabbis anymore. It's subliminally. It's not that he's thinking, I'm not trusting the rabbi. He's not even thinking about it. But it's going to be, whether he likes it or not, that's going to be his mindset. And this is why the Rebbe says, ולכן בהכרח לתקן עניין זה. And that's why it's very important to fix this. ואין לחשוב שזהו דבר של מה בכך. And some people think, hey, what's the difference? Square, circle, same thing. כי אפילו כאשר מדובר אודות דבר קטן, because even when he talks about something very small, נאמר, אל תהי בז לקטנות. It says, don't say that it's not going to be important. It's not really important. He's not going to really think this way, the kid. Yes, the kid is really going to be think this way. ועל אחת כמה וכמה כאשר מדובר אודות עניין הקשור עם הלוחות. And then the Rebbe says, and how much more so, that this is the beginning of the Jewish nation. And from the beginning, you changing the beginning, from the root, from the first step, the first thing that we got from God, that already you changed. You just killed the entire Judaism. You put mind in the kid's mind that the beginning of Judaism, the 10 commandments that came down is wrong. Already. So you know what's in his mind right now? If that's wrong, who knows what else is wrong? Who knows what else is wrong? Shem yesod kol haTorah kula. This is the basis of the entire Torah. It says, in any other things I wouldn't be, the Rebbe says, in any other things I wouldn't argue. But over here, it's a message to the entire Jewish children. You give them the wrong message. You're teaching them the wrong thing. Page 11. ובפרט שבעניין זה ישנו דבר נוסף. And specifically that we have something more. מקור ציור הלוחות בצורת חצי עיגול נלקח מאומות העולם. It says the source was taken from the nations of the world. וציור זה הוא הפך הדבר הגמרא, and it is exactly the opposite of the Gemara. ואם כן, כאשר מציירים את הלוחות בצורת חצי עיגול, הרי מעדפים את גרסת אומות העולם הדבר הגמרא. You give another message to the kid. You know what the other message is? That the other nations are more right than we are right. That's what you give the message. They are right, more right than us. This is exactly the message that you give them. ויהי רצון, so the Rebbe says, may it be a will, שמכאן ולהבא, that from here and onwards, יתקנו עניין זה, people will fix this. We're the first one who needs to fix it. Yeah, look at it. Right over here, that's right. I saw it once and I forgot. I remember once we talked about it, to change it, and I forgot. Yeah. ויהי רצון, שמכאן ולהבא יתקנו עניין זה, that from here onwards they will fix this, ובפרט שתיקון הדבר אינו כרוך עם קושי מיוחד, and specifically when you're talking about letterheads, it's not such a big deal. You can just print new letterheads, and if you don't want to print new one, when you finish these ones, the new ones, print new ones. כי הרי מדי פעם מדפיסים תפסים הנזכרים למעלה, because once in a while you make new forms, וכשם שאפשר לשנות את שמו של הפרזידנט של המוסד, And just like you can change the name of the president of the institution, and the Rebbe is laughingly saying, "Ve'ad sheshochachim legamrei מהpresident," sometimes you completely forget who the president was. כמו כן אפשר לשנות את ציור הלוחות. So the same thing, it says, yes, you painted the luchas, you painted them not the right way, it gives the wrong message to the kids, it has to be changed. היינו שבמקום צורת חצי עיגול יהיו הלוחות מצוירים בצורת ריבוע. And all it asks for what? Instead of being a half a circle, make it a square, it's not the end of the world. Maybe it doesn't look so nice, maybe we're not such great artists, but that's the way it is by Judaism. And it's going to give the right message.